Jo, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you here.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here, even though I've been trying to avoid it and going, oh, I'm so nervous.
Oh my gosh, I can't even believe it. And everyone will know. I mean, everyone's just heard your bio. So they're like, how could you possibly be nervous? That's crazy town.
It is deep down there and it pops up every now and then. But thank you so much for having me.
Everyone's in for a massive treat. You are one of my favorite people I work with. Am I allowed to say that? I'm allowed to say that.
we all have favorites, but we just don't admit it.
Yeah, okay, so my bad. But what I love is that you're such a goer. Like, you are an absolute firecracker and you excel at pretty much everything that you touch, not through luck, but through absolute hard work and kindness and beautiful attitude, and just, you're a sensational human.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. That little voice is going, you're okay.
I'm okay. All right. So I want to start at the beginning. Now, you had like a pretty high-powered corporate career and then went into business ownership. How come you decided to make that switch? How did that switch happen?
Well, what got me thinking about it originally was my husband saying, look, I think we should be in business. This is what I think we should do. And we were actually living in Sydney at the time. And he got headhunted over to Geneva to go over and help with an internet startup company. So we went over there. So I kind of took some time off. And then I found out that I was pregnant. So I came back to Sydney, we sold up our house, and my husband said, instead of coming over to Geneva to live, I want to move back to New Zealand and live in New Zealand. So I thought, okay, great. So we went back to New Zealand and I had our beautiful daughter. And then at the age of 4 months, I remember the conversation with my husband in our garage when we got out of the car. And I said to him, I'm a little bit bored. What do you think I should do? And he said, I think you should start a business. So I said to him, great, let's do it. But I just think to myself, what kind of person would let a woman who's got a 4-month-old baby start a business? It was crazy. I said to him, why didn't you stop me? Why didn't you stop me from doing it? So we started business. So we've kind of built on my background and what I had been doing. And when I started the business, I absolutely loved it. And Ambrose, my husband at the time, was working in a corporate business in New Plymouth where we were living. And he loved watching what I was doing. And so we decided to make a plan that a year later, he would join me in the business full time. So we would get the income up to where his wages were. And then he would leave full-time work and join me. So it was an amazing night, the day that he handed in his notice, because that day as well, one of our very big clients that we had just won the big business awards as well. And so it was kind of a double celebration. So 12 months later, he joined me in the business and we really haven't stopped from there.
Been hitting goals ever since.
It has. And I started the business in our 3rd bedroom of our house with $1,500. I had enough money to buy a laptop, a 5-page website, and some business cards.
Nice.
And that was all I had. And there was no money left over at the end of it. And I just went out. We networked. And we went to anything and everything that we could do to network and to grow the business. And then it just steadily just increased from there. But I mean, over time we've had, some ups and some downs and then ups and downs, but it has been a really big journey. So we're, currently 17 years into our business.
Amazing. I mean, I have people ask me all the time and go, how do you get started? Like, how did you start from scratch? And what you just said then is so valuable for people in knowing that sometimes you've just got to go out and talk to people. There's no point in being like having everything done and set up and being the world's best kept secret. You've got to actually go out to anything and everything that you can and go, hey, this is who I am. This is what I do. And slowly that word starts spreading and that reputation gets built. Is that what you found when you started?
Yeah. And I tried everything. Because I was kind of became the jack of all trades though for a while in that year, just to see where I was fitting and just to see what I really liked. So I did an apparel, I was a partner in an apparel company. So I sold pens, I sold gifts, I sold t-shirts, I did telemarketing, credit control, you name it. The only thing I didn't do was accounts because I don't like accounts, but you name it, I did it. And towards the end of it, the thing that I found that I really liked was actually dealing with people sort of one-on-one and giving them advice. And then what I found too is that my husband Ambrose also loved that as well. And so Ambrose comes out of the UK, and he was with Procter & Gamble over there. So he had some pretty heavy training while he was over there. And we looked at the training that we had, and we thought, how could we look at Kiwiizing it so that it was more in the New Zealand language, and how could we look at changing it and just making it a bit more relevant for what we were doing. And so with that, we started consulting, so doing marketing consulting with a little bit of training. So we were very much one-to-one. And then came the big global crunch. And we sat there thinking to ourselves, right, so we are one-to-one. Our business is not going to survive. How can we go one-to-many? So at that time, we hit the road, and we travelled and travelled and travelled and travelled the country. And we developed a marketing boot camp that we put out to people. And the very first marketing boot camp that we had 25 people come to the first boot camp. And we took people through over a 2-day period how to write their 12-month marketing plan. And that very first time, I mean, we used paper cutters to cut the plan. We let people do coloured paper and felt tip pens all over it. And it was chaos. And when I look back,
you know what, Jo, there's still nothing wrong with that. I'm still a fan of felt tip pens and felt
25 people. I look back and I just think it was, and then I had to try and bind these marketing plans together that were full of paper and cutouts and all sorts of things. And it was a bit of chaos. So that was our very first time at going at face to face from one to many, and that was a huge learning curve. And and so we kept that model for a long time, which was the one to many. So mainly face to face, because my husband loves face to face. You know, I prefer face to face as well. We're big on networking.
Yeah.
And and then along came COVID.
And so when that hit, which was nearly a year ago now, pretty much a year ago, which blows my mind that much time has even passed. So basically your whole business model overnight ceased to exist. How did the thought process with that go, and how quickly did you kind of switch it up?
There was no feeling like it that I have ever had in my whole life. We lost 75% of our income overnight. And
did you think when it first hit that, like, it'd be back to normal in a month? Or
we still had customers booking. We still had customers booking us into Australia. Yeah, my husband travelled. He travelled for 2 weeks out of the month over to Australia to go and see clients over in Australia, and then spent 2 weeks here in New Zealand. So we still had Australian customers booking him into Australia. And then it hit, and then all of a sudden people just started calling and just saying, can we cancel, can we cancel, can we cancel, can we cancel? And I remember sitting there thinking to myself, we've got 3 months in the bank to be able to survive, to pay overheads and things like that. How are we going to do this? Our business model is gone. So we quickly decided to change, and I went right through our business and with a fine-tooth comb, and I pulled out every single cost in the business, and I looked at it and analysed it to see whether or not we needed the cost. And so I went through everything, and that was how I found Kajabi.
Yep. Love Kajabi.
I'm huge fan of Kajabi. So I went through everything, and I think I pulled out something like, I got rid of 9 systems in our business. I replaced it with 4, and we saved between $8,000 and $9,000 on systems.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was huge. But then with that came the whole, oh my gosh, now I've got to learn all these new systems. How are we going to do that? So we pivoted very quickly. In the first week of our lockdown, we talked to over 1,500 businesses via webinars.
Wow.
I know. So we put a big call out to all of the business, every business prospect that we knew. We just put a big call out.
That's where networking just totally pays off.
It does. And we just said, we've got these webinars coming up. So we invited 2 experts onto webinars with us. And we had 1,500 people logging onto these webinars just to hear how they can change it up and how they can pivot through COVID, and basically just tell businesses that they weren't alone.
Yeah.
Everyone was going through it. It's okay. We can make it. And we had the webinar on the Monday, the first Monday of the lockdown, when everyone, including school children, you name it, was online, and the whole system just crashed.
Oh, no.
Yeah. We had hundreds of people messaging, just going, I can't get on, I can't hear, it's really bad reception. And we just went, oh.
See, it's those moments that you've just got to do everything you can not to just lay down and cry.
I know. And, and it took a good couple of hours afterwards to just go, oh my gosh. So the learning curve from that was that we pre-recorded everything that we did before we went live through that lockdown. So while they were on the webinar, we had the video sent out to them so that they had a pre-recording version of it as well. So it meant double work for us, but it just meant that we were able to cover our butt and not have that happen again. And so in the middle of realizing that we had no money coming in, we were also trying to give as much advice and help as many people as we can. And at that time was when I found Her Empire Builders. And it was at that time when, I was looking at the cost thinking, I'm spending money here when we really need this money.
Yeah, you've just cut everything out.
I know, we've just cut it all. Yeah. But then something inside me just went, actually, you need to do this. It's just going, it felt right.
Yeah.
And so I jumped on with Her Empire Builders, and we haven't looked back.
Yeah. And so talk to me about your first, because you started with us in June and then you launched pretty soon after and had one of the greatest launches, first launches that I've heard of, which I do want to be able to tell people it's because you had the backing in your traditional business from that. You already had a lot of list, a good reputation in the industry and all of that sort of thing, which is very, very helpful. But you also, and this is why I said at the beginning, like one of my favorite people that I work with is because you do all the things. There's so much where I talk to people and I go, this is what the components we need for a really good live launch. And people will say, well, I did this, but I didn't feel like doing this, or I didn't want to do this, or I didn't want to do that. And you're like, you know what? I'm doing it all. So talk to me about your first ever online launch.
We did it all. But when your back is up against a wall and you're thinking, I'm going to either make or break this, this is a chance for us to get cash in the door and have cash in the bank to be able to survive through the months. I had no choice. But the thing, before I joined Her Empire Builders, I had no idea of the pathway of how to do it. Yeah. And so that was one of the big reasons why I wanted to join as well, was because I wanted us to launch the course that we had. Yeah. But I just didn't know how. Yeah. And so Her Empire Builders gave me those steps. So literally, I just spent hours and hours going through your courses, just ticking things off. And I think there was at one time I had something like 5 days and I had something like 80 hours of your videos to get.
Oh my gosh, that's way too much Tina in your life.
And so I was sitting there thinking, okay. And so I was kind of looking at stuff going, okay, I know a bit of that. I can just move along a little bit. I can move along a little bit. And I was just thinking, how am I going to get through these 80 hours? Yes. But it has been one of the best things that we...
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. And you guys, I didn't even tee Jo up to say all this.
No, she didn't. It really has been one of the best things that we ever did. But the thing I've loved about Her Empire Builders is just this, you've given it in such a simplistic way that it's just so easy to follow.
Yeah, that's
And it is literally, you do this step, then you do this step, then you do this step. And then the end result is the goal that you've set, and, you know, hitting those targets if you follow the steps.
yeah.
And I just loved it. It was like you were speaking my language. I was going, yep, she just gets it.
I always think with this online course game that we play, it is very simple. It is very not easy. I think that's the big thing is there are linear simple steps that you can follow that are proven, that you know work, but it's all the mental stuff that makes it difficult.
I absolutely agree. And it's that mental toughness to be able to go, actually, that hasn't worked quite how I wanted. I'll readjust and I'll try something else, and just be able to actually just get through the knockthroughs, the knockbacks that you have as well.
Yeah.
It is a huge part of mental toughness.
Yes. And so your first launch, the first week you did $80,000, 80 something thousand.
Yeah, we ended up the month, we ended the month on 85K or something like that.
Amazing. And so when you did that, obviously, you know, you were stoked. I remember talking to you and you were just like, it works, it really works. And also knowing that, you know, you could reinvent the business and it could survive like this until you're allowed back at events and things again. Through that process though, what was the most challenging part for you that was different to what you'd had to do previously in traditional business?
I think just getting my whole mindset around online, because we were physically face to face, and having that face to face conversation is so much easier, because now we had to take that conversation, put it into copy online, and it was a big mind struggle. But also too, getting our course up online into Kajabi and ready for launch, that was mammoth doing that. So the whole thing was just such a big mental mind shift and physical mind shift, because it took a lot of energy to do what we did.
And you did, like, I have to tell people here, because you say it was a mammoth effort. So a lot of people will take months and months to do this. And this is why I love when you say when your back's against a wall and you just have no choice, especially because you're both in the business too. It's not like one partner can fall on the other one. You had to be successful. There was really no plan B for that. And you worked like 12-hour days for weeks in a row. And I remember talking to you at the start of one week, and you'd spent the whole weekend uploading videos. And would you upload like 70 videos or something like that, which is just insane?
It was the amount that I think it was something like 500 Canva templates over, you know, like
Gotta love Canva.
Over a 3-day, but there was also making the templates as well in Canva and then uploading them. But it was, because we've created the course that we had, we knew it would be mammoth. Yeah. We did it, and it is paying dividends now for the work that we did a year ago.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So what was the hardest part in terms of going, like, even though it was a mammoth effort and doing all of that, because there'd be a lot of people listening and going, all right, you've had a lot of business success, you've translated that into online. Was there a part that you were kind of like, I didn't expect that to be so hard?
So I'm one of these people that kind of just goes, it was not really. If I look back, I'd probably say that all of it was hard. Yeah. But we just chunked it off in little bits.
Yeah.
The thing that I struggled with the most is social media. Yeah. Because it's not my first language or my second language. I think I'm 10 years too late for social media.
Did you already have big social media from the traditional business, or have you had to build that now that it's moved more online?
We have none. My husband has LinkedIn. Yeah. I have a bit on Facebook, and I have 200 lovely Instagram followers.
Wow. Okay.
But that is
we're going to have to work more on your personal brand. Go and follow Jo Blowfield.
Exactly. But don't, because she hardly ever posts.
But what the little that you do post is gold.
Exactly. We do have a Facebook, business Facebook, but we never post to it. Yeah. And the reason for that is because we spent all of those years building a database. And our database is such a great database that we, mail out to our database. And we've got customers on there that have been coming to us for 10 years now. You know, we've got customers that just, when they start an employee, they come straight to us for training. So we spent a lot of time really nurturing that database. And so we didn't really need to go into that online social media space so much, because we were able to rely on our database. But moving forward, though, we've realized that social media is a really big gap for us.
Yeah.
So we're going to go into social media, but we're going to be very targeted about what we're doing on social media.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to go across all the platforms, because our customers aren't across all the platforms.
Yeah, I love that.
So we're just going to pick 2 platforms, and we're going to go really hard on those 2 platforms.
Yeah, beautiful. And so with the success that you had, is there something that you think was most like poignant to your success in going, you know what, we did this and we did this really well, and it kind of moved that lever? Is there something that you feel that people should know was really integral to it?
I think it was the personal contact that my husband had. So after the webinar, we had people could then come on for a coaching session. And so one of the things that we did, which was a step before that, was that he really handpicked our target market out of the people that had attended the webinar. And then he personally contacted them and said to them, make sure you come on for the coaching session. You know, it's a free 25-minute coaching session with me. We'll talk about your sales strategy. You know, I would love to see you. And so the take up on that was really big for our coaching session. So I think we still kept it quite personal. And I think that's definitely key, is that you still have to have that personal element.
Yeah.
You know, I spoke to a girl the other day about social media. You know, she's telling me that she's got lots of comments and things like that, but she's unable to convert them to actual sales. And I said to her, you know, is there any engagement with them? Yeah, even a voice file, if you could send them a voice file just to say hello. Yeah. And she said, no, you know, I will re-comment on their comments, but that's it. And I just said to her, you know, you need to still have that personal touch to them offline, because people don't want to be too personal online sometimes. But if you can take it offline, then they'll actually reveal what they're really after. And then you can offer them your number or the coaching session and things like that. So you can get a bit more personal offline. So I really feel like that element really worked well for us. And we've got a really good conversion rate when we're on coaching sessions. So we knew that that would work for us. That was kind of our one way of getting people into our funnel and down the funnel, was through that coaching session. Yeah. So, so that is a really big strategy for us, is coaching session and then into the sale.
I think it's a really big misconception that people have, that when you go online, it means that you're kind of like this mystical, untouchable creature up the top, and you no longer talk to people. But I think the exact same thing as you said. Like nearly everybody, especially you were talking about Her Empire Builder before, which is open now, right now. Yes, for applications. HerEmpireBuilder.com. There we go. I did do that plug intentionally.
Good. You should. Best thing I've ever done.
But even when people apply for that, like one of the things is we have those 15-minute calls with them so that we can chat to people and hear what their goals are, and then be able to see whether it's going to be the right fit. And when I see people on Instagram lives and on webinars engaging, I will then reach out to them off that to say, hey, who are you? What you doing? How can I help? Different things. And that does increase conversion hugely.
Yeah, absolutely. And also too, we were very targeted with our database as well. We went through our database and looked at, you know, who our target market were and who we thought fitted into our target market. And so we really made sure that we contacted them as well and just said, hey, we've got this webinar. We think it would be great for your business. Here it is. So I think on that very first webinar, I think we had, was it something like over 100 people actually turned up.
Had you ran a webinar before that?
Yeah, we had. Yeah, we'd run webinars before, but that came through a lead magnet. You know, those 100 people came through a lead magnet, but they were really good, qualified people who came through the funnel and then onto our sales. So yeah, it was. But we knew the sales. We'd really mapped out our sales pipeline. Mm-hmm. So we knew what touches we were going to be having, at what touch we thought people would fall off.
Yeah.
So, we knew our end goal of what we were wanting, and then how many we needed to get into the top funnel in order for it to be able to pop out the bottom.
Yeah, perfect. And so talking about that, let's go into, because you're a sales expert as well, what do you think is the biggest mistake that people make when selling?
I think one of the biggest, for women especially, one of the big things that I've been seeing recently is that people can be women that I've been talking to have been judging the sale before they've actually made the sale. So they're actually judging the person before they're actually even engaged in the sale. And they're looking at the person and they're thinking, oh no, they can't afford my course.
Yeah.
Or, oh no, I've priced it too high. No, they wouldn't want my course. Oh, they've got a great life. I don't think they'll need what I'm bringing to the table. And so I think that actually is stopping a lot of us from actually getting that sale going and actually started. So we're just doing a lot of, we're judging up front when actually it's not your choice whether or not they want that sale, that course or whatever it is. It's actually up to them. And something that I was taught quite early on is that if you don't give them the opportunity, then 5 years later when they realize what you're doing, they're going to say, hey, you never talked to me about this opportunity.
Yes, I love that.
And it's totally on them to say yes or no. And, and I've only ever found that there are usually only 3 reasons why people say no. And it's timing, product, or price.
Yeah.
And those are definitely 3 things that you can work around in a conversation with a customer. All those 3 things you can overcome with objection handling. But yeah, I just think that we need to just give whoever we're selling to the opportunity to take it up or decline it.
Yeah, that's it. And I do think it takes a certain amount of confidence to be able to do that as well, in having conviction. And one thing which I mentioned to you before we hit record actually was you have had, like, even just reading your bio, you go, even with your children's success, I go, oh my gosh, like everything you excel at. And you've had such an amount of success in both corporate and traditional business and now online business as well. But I still hear you doubt yourself all the time. And I get the same thing. Like I was talking this morning when we were on our Empire Builders call, going, before launch, I always have that moment of self-doubt of going, oh my gosh, am I good enough to do this? Can I do this? Is no one going to sign up and I'm going to look like a giant loser? Like, we've got all of these things in our head, and I wonder whether that ever goes away. I don't know. I'm definitely not there yet, and I've launched about 16 times. But what I want to ask you is, even though you're feeling that, how do you quieten that voice and get over that in order to perform and do your job and sell with confidence?
Loud music does it for me.
Yeah.
I put on just rockingly loud music and I just fight it out, and just, it's taken a long time for me to even start to become mentally fit, because and this is only, to be really honest, this has only happened over the last year, where I feel like I've gotten mentally tougher and sitting in more of a zone that I own. Because I work with my husband. In society always looks at the male first in the business, and then the female. So I've struggled for a lot of years being the wife that does the accounts or answers the phone or does all the admin.
You started it, Jo.
I know, but doing all the admin stuff. Yeah. And so I let that happen too. I let him take the front, and I let myself sit in the back seat. But then in the last year, especially since Her Empire Builders, I've really stepped into it and just gone, actually, no, this is my business too. I do all that back end stuff that really makes us the money. He does the glamorous stuff up the front. And I say to him now, I'll make you famous.
You put yourself out there. I'll take the safety seat.
Yeah, I'll make you famous. And so I've just, when you're around a group of women like Her Empire Builders who hold you up all the time, celebrate your wins, and are cheering for you, I've never had that in my life. I've never had a group of women that openly cheer for you with no, you know, we're all running our own race in our own lanes, but we still stop and cheer, and we still pat each other on the back and go, that was great. And even in things when they're not working, we still pick each other up and go, hey, let's dust you off, carry on. And I've never really had that. And I've stepped into myself now. So I feel like that voice that tries to hammer me down every now and then is getting lighter and lighter and lighter. But it does pop up, especially around launch times and when we've got big things coming. And just before you hit go on Kajabi for a new landing page or something, you're going, but loud music, and I'm learning to quiet it down. But that's from the people that I'm hanging out with.
Yeah, and it is such a superpower. I mean, I think as well, it's realizing how awesome you actually are. I mean, a lot of us do exist inside our own little bubble, and we have the nature of high achievement is you achieve one thing and you go, all right, tick, next, and on you go without actually taking a moment to go, oh my gosh, a year ago my back was up against a wall. We didn't know what we were going to do. We had 3 months left in the bank, and I actually created something that made $85,000 in a month. And I did that working my ass off, using my brain and my skills, and I freaking nailed it. A whoop whoop. Oh, whoop, whoop.
Absolutely. And, you know, it was funny too, because, you know, I messaged you and I said to you, oh my gosh, Tina, you're never going to guess. But I debated sending that message, and I just thought, how am I going to tell it that this is what I've done? And then when you just came back and said to me, I want you to post it all over our group and just cheer about it. And I said, I wrote the message, then I stopped, and then I wrote it, then I stopped. And I just thought to myself, because what I was scared of was putting it up there and then people judging me and people going, oh, she's just showing off, because I'm not one to, and this is why we don't do social media, is because we don't toot our own horn. My husband and I, we just get on with it and just do the grind and just keep going. And so for me to have done that was just, my family don't even know what we do, but we just don't really tell people. And so for me to do that was really stepping into a whole new me and just going, actually, we've worked really hard.
I'm so proud of you.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I'm so thankful to Her Empire Builders, because even my husband said, we went out for dinner. I told you this just before. We went out for dinner on Friday night because we've smashed our goals. We've smashed our goals so far. And, you know, part of your 90-day plan is to have rewards there. And we went and we did our reward, and we were looking back on the month that's been and saying what we were thankful for. And he said to me, I'm thankful for Tina Tower and Her Empire Builders. I know this sounds like I love you, Tina.
It's all right. I'm here for it, Jo.
He just said to me, I'm so thankful, because he said, you've stepped into who you are. You've got this power now of just being able to do anything that we
Gonna make me cry.
I'm so happy, because it has been life-changing for me. Absolutely life-changing for me, and life-changing for our whole family. Because a year ago, we were thinking, what are we going to do? We've got no business. What are we going to do? And then you've just given us the steps to be able to...
the steps, but it's all you.
It's crazy. We've got a launch coming up, and you know what? I'm looking at that and I'm going, this is crazy money.
Yeah, it's good though. You deserve every cent of it with how much you've worked. But I want to touch on as well what you said before with going, because I know a lot of people dim their light because they don't want to be seen as a show off. And I was actually having this conversation with someone yesterday and going, there's no way you can build a personal brand, and there's no way you can build a business from scratch. I mean, you already had your reputation. If you hadn't have had that already, you would have had to put yourself out there to build that online first, and to reach that next step of global world domination, which you're going to go through in your multi-million dollars a year, you're going to have to step into that light a little bit more. And what I hope that you've seen through being as part of the mastermind as well is that when you share those wins, if it's with the right people, then it's not seen as anything competitive or brown nosing or being a wanker, which is the word I hear all the time from people going, I don't want people to think I'm a wanker.
Yeah.
It is straight up inspirational. It gives people an example of going, you know what, if I do these things, this is what's possible for me, because if she can do it, I can do it. And I think that is so beautiful and powerful, because I know that you have cheered so many other people on, and they're moving forward because they go, I've seen how Jo's pushed out of her comfort zone and stepped into that, and now they're doing those things as well. So it's completely not about you when you're sharing that. It's being able to acknowledge what you've done, but then also encouraging others as well.
Absolutely. Do you know, we're just stepping into it. We're just going, actually, we do need to start sharing. You know, we've just gone up against our biggest, the biggest person in sales training that we know of, someone that we just think are our idols in sales training. And we've just gone up against them for a massive contract, and it came down to the two of us, and we won the contract. And I know, I just think to myself, it is just mind-blowing that we won that, and we've told Her Empire Builders, and that's it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I know. And I just think to myself,
the humility is adorable. I think we can have a happy medium.
Yeah, I think that's what we're going to go for now.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, we do need to start telling more people what we're actually doing.
Yeah.
And just be a little, you know, I think, I don't want to be boastful though. How do I not be boastful about it?
I think there is a difference between, like, I will see people taking photos walking off a private jet that they've just walked past and didn't actually get off, or saying different things about, like, show offy stuff. And sometimes my retinas will want to disconnect in my eyes because they just roll in the back of my head. But there's a difference in being able to share parts of yourself and your success in a way that's going to serve others and inspire others, and just being boastful for boastful's sake. There's never anything like I will share successes all the time, but never with the purpose of going, hey, look at me and look what I did, hardy, hardy, ha ha. It's always going, hey, look at me. If this is possible for me, it's possible for you. I want you to have this too.
I love it. I love
all
that.
through that. Yeah. That's the only reason that I share the different things. I mean, I had the conversation with my husband the other day because we recently moved to acreage where, like, a few months ago, and I built my own organic vegetable garden, and I wanted to show that because I had a hobby now, because, you know, I choose to show parts of that to encourage, hey, we can have great businesses and also have balance and a life as well. But Matt, my husband, was going, Tina, you can't share that. In the background, you can see our tennis court. People are going to see that and go, oh my God, you bloody wanker with your tennis court in your backyard. And I'm going, you know what? I don't care. If people think I'm a wanker because we have a tennis court, that's just silly. The house came with a tennis court. But it's also going, you know what? It's beautiful. And if people see it and go, that's a beautiful home, I want that one day, then awesome. I can show you how. Jump onto it. Yeah.
Yeah, I did try and do a live the other day on Instagram, and it was straight after the gym, and I was like, and then, you know, somebody messaged me and said that I had said my name was Jo Blowfish, not Jo Blowfield. But also too, at the end of the live, I didn't know how to turn it off, and so the end of it is just my double chin. I was thinking, can Instagram get any harder? I told you it's not my first or second language. But I
find that just like crazy level endearing, though.
I was thinking this has to get better. And because I just done it after the gym, I was like, I was thinking I have to be able to share something better than me coming out of the gym calling myself Jo Blowfish.
You know what, though? Part of social media, I think, is to be able to show people the human behind the business so that people can get to know you. And I mean, what a more beautiful way to get to know you. But
then you can see me kind of poking at I delete it because you can see me.
I've got to go back and watch it. Is it still there?
No, I delete it. Trying to poke at the screen, trying to turn off the screen. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
But you know, it's great, because it's an opportunity for me to learn now. So
Yes.
the opportunity for me is to learn social media this year and then be better at it at the end of the year than I am currently.
I love it. It's only up from mispronouncing your name and not knowing how to turn off the video. So
I'm not having a business Instagram, there's only up.
So with this year, as you continue on, because obviously COVID's sticking around for a lot longer than we thought, and you've got to kind of settle into more of the online game rather than going offline quite yet. What are you working on? What's ahead for you and the company?
Well, we've got some really exciting stuff happening. We've got our launches coming.
Yeah.
Ambrose is writing a book in April, so he's writing a sales book in April. And then I've got one coming out at the end of the year as well. So those are two massive things that we've got. We've got the Sales Mastery Company, so we've got all of our launches. We've got our 12 big goals for the year set up for that. And also too with the marketing company, we're looking at rebranding it and relaunching it in the second half of the year. Because with the marketing company, it's a very different target market to the Sales Mastery Company. So I'm actually going to step into the light and actually take the marketing company as the face and actually look at launching that and, offer a membership and things like that with it. So it's really exciting. But this year it's mammoth this year. And one of the big things that has been great through COVID is that we're not traveling. So obviously our profit has gone hugely up, and we're at home. We've taken off all of the school holidays this year with our children. We're taking off from November to January off as well.
Wow,
in the business.
how beautiful.
I know, but we would never have been able to do this if we were still a face-to-face training business.
Yeah.
But because we are online now, we've looked at everything so differently. We've looked at it as how can we gear the business around what we want to do now? How can we gear it around spending time with our kids? The biggest reason why my husband wanted to join the business was that he wanted to work with me. We wanted to spend time together. But through the years, we lost that. It was because he was traveling so much and things like that. So we've now got that back. And so now we're not going to let it go. We've decided we want to spend as much time as possible together, as much time with the kids, do stuff that we really want to do, and just absolutely own our space, which is personalized business to business selling. That is our space. We're going to own it, and we want to be world class at it. That is
amazing.
That is where we want to head. And so I'm really excited with what we've got coming up over the next year. And I'm really excited with what we're creating.
So all of the links to everything that you've got and your upcoming launch are in the show notes below. But seeing as though you're not prevalent on social media, where is the easiest place to get in contact with you so people can tell you how much they've gotten from today?
LinkedIn. LinkedIn is definitely the platform for us. We're definitely on there. I'm on Facebook as well, but definitely LinkedIn.
So we'll link to that one.
Message us on LinkedIn, and happy to help.
I love it. Jo, I'm sure everyone can see why I love working with you so much. You're just such a gem and a beautiful human. I'm so happy for you, and massive congratulations on the success that you've had in the past year. And I don't think it's even going to come close to what you've got in the year coming up. You're going to blow your own mind.
I'm so excited with what we've got coming.
Yeah.
So excited because it can change our life in a year substantially. And I just think, why wouldn't we do it?
Yes, amazing. Thank you. I'll talk to you soon.
Take care. Thanks. Bye.